What's going on, guys? Merry Christmas. It's Keys from Black Quarterback Series. We're gonna go ahead and get this week going. We're gonna talk about all the games. We're gonna talk about some things that I noticed, what I didn't notice. Black Civilization Radio, Black Quarterback Series. Let's get into it. So, the first game we were going to do, and I'm assuming it's gonna be on the thumbnail, but I'm not sure if it's gonna be on the thumbnail. Michael Penix Jr. finally makes his debut against the Giants. So Michael Penix was 18 for 27, 202 yards, an interception, which wasn't on him. Um, I love Pitts. I think that's his name, Pitts, number 8, who plays for Atlanta. I'm gonna put his face up. Um, the pass was there. It should have been a touchdown, but he dropped it and it fumbled and it was an interception. We're gonna start calling those Lamar Jackson interceptions because you look at all 4 Lamar Jackson interceptions. Excuse me. You look at all 4 Lamar Jackson interceptions. That's exactly how they look. Just the receiver just forgetting how to play football, right? But it was more of a running attack. BJ, 22 carries, 94 yards, 2 touchdowns. This was pretty much a dominated game by the offense, or a dominated game by the defense. That defense looked like the 85 Bears the way they were playing against the way they were playing up against the Giants. But the Giants are terrible, and we should expect that. So didn't really get a decent read on Michael Penix, just based off how dominant the defense was, and the game was never really in hand. And so I looked at the scenarios, and they have a chance to make the playoffs. And with the Buccaneers losing last night to Cowboys, which is wild, they have a strong chance to make the playoffs in this bad division, right? So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes and how we follow this and all that and all that. So I'm looking forward to seeing and follow Michael Penix's career. Hopefully I get a chance to see him play next year. I'm going to try to make it to some more games. So the Cardinals and the Panthers, right? So we're going to start with the Panthers. Bryce Young, 17 of 26, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, this is more of a running game. Chuba Hubbard, 25 carries, 152 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyler. What was Kyler? Kyler was 20 for 32, 209 yards, a touchdown interception, a really, really bad interception. Now, before James Conner, even when James Conner was in there, they were losing. But I think the game would have been a lot. It went into overtime, but for me personally looking at it, I just can't get a read on the Cardinals, and I just never really felt like they had a chance to win. James Conner, 15 carries, 115 yards, and an interception. I don't know if it's the Cardinals organization or it's just the way Kyler is. Something is wrong with this football team. I picked this team. I picked Kyler to be an MVP, to have MVP consideration, but I just don't know what's wrong with this football team. Is it Kyler? He's a special talent, but you wouldn't put Kyler up in the echelon of Lamar's and Pat's and even Jaden Daniels. You put Jaden Daniels on the same field with Kyler, it don't look close. We'll get to Jaden Daniels in a minute. I don't know what's wrong with this football team. There's no reason in the world that this football team should have not made the playoffs. And with this loss, you lose to a Carolina team who should be tanking. But Bryce Young is playing well now. And the thing that I saw the difference between these two teams, Bryce Young has a sense of belief and his teammates love him. I don't see that from Kyler Murray's teammates. It just seems like they tolerate him. I know some people who stayed in the area with Kyler and saw Kyler play and knew Kyler a little personally, and they say he's not the best person to deal with or the best person to get along with, right? So, and you can kind of see that on the field sometimes. Now, this loss is not on Kyler and how well he played and blah blah. But if there's any other quarterback, we would give them hell about it, right? You're not supposed to lose this game against Carolina, but since it's the Cardinals, nobody's gonna talk about it but me. That's what you're here for, Black Quarterback Series, right? I just don't believe it. I don't believe Kyler will ever be able to lead a team to the promised land, let alone the playoffs. We're still gonna talk about Kyler, but I'm out on Kyler until he proves me wrong. Now, let me know in the comment section, people who follow Arizona a little more closely than I do. Let me know what's the issue, because it doesn't look like there should be an issue. The pieces are there to play well. You can't blame this one on Cliff Kingsbury. You can't. We'll get to Washington, but you can't blame this one on Cliff. This one is not on Cliff. This is Kyler. You guys are 7-8. You're not gonna make the playoffs. You guys are leading the division, and then you dropped a few games. It's just it ain't like Seattle. Am I gonna talk about Seattle? Um, while we're here, we'll throw Seattle in the middle of this. So Geno was he threw for 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. And I think Seattle is going to be looking to replace Geno within these next few seasons. It ain't like Geno or Arizona where they're like trying to build. You would think that you gave Kyler that big contract that y'all should be at least in the playoffs. It's the equivalent of giving Lamar Jackson that big contract, and he don't win. That's what it feels like. And like, is Kyler as talented as these guys? Yes, he's the most. He might be the most talented out of these guys. Out of the Lamar tree of players, the Kylers, the Jadens, Lamar himself, Jalen. Like, these are all like fruits off the Cam Newton tree, the Cam Newton or the Michael Vick tree, right? And Justin Fields, like all of these guys, you can argue that Kyler's the most talented out of all of them because he's the smallest. But it's just not equating to wins. It's not equating to wins, and I don't know what to even make of it. So I don't even know what to make of their offseason. I have to do more studying on them. But I think we'll be done. Until we do our offseason videos, we might be done talking about the Cardinals and even Seattle for that matter, because these teams just are not. They don't look like they're gonna make any type of deep playoff run. So, but moving on to the Eagles in Washington. So Jaden Daniels, 24 for 39, 256 yards, 5 touchdowns and an interception. Jalen had a concussion and didn't play anymore, and the offense completely sputtered. Like, from what I've seen, the offense completely sputtered, and Hurts is way more important to that offense than even me initially thought. And I'm very high on Hurts, right? So I think they had 20 points, 21 points or something like that. He got hurt when they were in the red zone. So I think Kenny Pickett came in and scored. But after that, it was like, they ended up scoring 33, but I think if Hurts was on the field, they might have scored 45. Washington turns the ball over 5 times, 2 fumbles. Was it? Let me check. No, it was 3 fumbles. 3 fumbles and an interception. I can't remember what the last one was, but I'll put it on the screen. They turned the ball over 5 times, though. You're not supposed to win that game. But with Jaden being so great and the defense stepping up, they ended up winning 36-33. And I think that had a lot to do with Hurts being hurt. And so you look at it, Washington makes the playoffs. What Washington is doing is what I expected Arizona to do. I really had no qualms, or I really didn't know what to make about Jaden. I watched him in college. He looked like a Lamar Jackson disciple. I knew Jaden was going to be good. I wasn't like concerned about if Daniels was going to be a good NFL quarterback. My concern was the offensive line and the Commanders being the Commanders, right? That was my concern with Jaden. Jalen. So many J's. Daniels. That was my concern with the organization, where they're going to be able to build around him, and they've shown to be competent and be able to build around him. So I'm happy for that. But with the Eagles, with you guys playing the Giants next and the Cowboys next, y'all should just concede the 1 seed and get healthy. I said this last week. The only thing that will keep the Eagles from getting the 1 seed is health. You have to be healthy. Get healthy. So I think the 1 seed is out of it. I think you're going to win the division. And I have to do the numbers, but the 1 seed I think is out of reach. You got to focus on winning the division. I wouldn't even focus on winning the 1 seed. I think that's out of it. You had a chance, but I'd rather make the playoffs healthy than push Jaden, one of the J's, push Hurts to come back, and then he gets hurt again, and now y'all have no chance of making it to the Super Bowl. So that's the way I think about it, but he probably going to come back week 17, week 18, and act like nothing happened. So I don't know. I do believe in the Eagles, though. The Eagles I do believe in, but I don't think it's worth further injury. I don't think it's worth further injury to put Jalen back out there. And you should be able to beat the Giants and the Cowboys was as talented as this team is without Hurts. If you can't beat those two teams without Hurts, we need to have a bigger conversation about how Hurts is the heartbeat of this team, which I think he is anyway. But you might need to have a bigger conversation. So, a few things. The Colts won. They beat the Titans. Nothing to talk about. Both teams are out of contention. Um, Jonathan Taylor didn't fumble the ball at the goal line this time, so he had 3 touchdowns, 218 yards. Nothing really much to speak about. Anthony Richardson, 7 for 11, 131 yards, touchdown interception. And so some of the random things that I didn't get to talk about this week. Um, Michael Vick gets to coach, I think it's Norfolk State, HBCU. Hopefully he can do what Dion was doing before Dion up and left. And big shout out to Dion for his tree winning the national championship. I give Dion shit all the time about him leaving and everything, but his tree bared fruit. They won a national championship with Dion's guys essentially, and that he put that culture in a position to be successful. Shout out to Dion for that. Like if that's the case, I have no qualms about it. You got to call it what it is. Dion left, and we gave Dion stuff about leaving, but hey, who he left in charge led them to the promised land. So who's to say to even be mad about that anymore? Dion was 1-2 games away from the college football playoff. The HBCU won the national championship. So shout out to them. I'm sorry that I don't know the head coach's name. I'll put his name up and his face up to give him proper credit. But shout out to Jackson State. Shout out to Michael Vick for getting that job, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Michael Vick does with that job. Teddy Bridgewater, stay in Florida, man. Don't come back into the NFL. You won a state championship your first year of coaching. Go build a dynasty where you at, and then just move up the ranks. Like if I could choose what Teddy does, Teddy Bridgewater, former quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings, had the gruesome knee injury and was never the same, right? Um, he won a state championship with his high school boys. I want him to stay there, win like 5 straight, then go to HBCU, win 5 straight, and then go to big college football, win a few there, and then go to the NFL and be like a D'Amico Ryan type guy. Like I would love that for him. That if we look at in 2045 and Teddy Bridgewater is like the premier coach in the NFL, that would be dope as hell to see. But yeah. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys. You guys enjoy your Christmas. Be safe. Don't overdrink on eggnog. Eat enough for me. Watch some great football that we gonna watch on Christmas Day. Watch some basketball. I know ratings and basketball still great. Um, and enjoy you guys this week. Enjoy the day. Enjoy family. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you guys later. If you listen to it on the radio and you want to see the video, go to youtube.com/Black Quarterback Series Podcast, Instagram Black Quarterback Series slash YouTube. I'm sorry, Instagram.com/Black Quarterback Series Podcast, and that's all I got for you guys. I will see you guys Thursday for the Christmas games, and we're gonna talk a lot. We're gonna what we did on Saturday. We're gonna do what we did on Saturday. Peace.